You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso & Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
Welcome to Fitness Friday, where you love, laugh, and lift. And we
laugh, and lift.
Love, laugh, and lift. And we have in the studio with us Mitch. He'll be coming on with us at 9:30 to talk about Love Whole Foods and their big celebration going on in Port Orange that we want all our listeners to get down to this Saturday.
I will.
And we have Kathleen is going to come on from the whole...
Kathleen Zarenko.
That's right, from the whole health...
Holistic Health Fair.
Holistic Health Fair.
You need me to help you, Tasso,
Yeah, I need
today?
you to help me today, man. I need to
get the brain going.
I need to get it around, yeah. So anyway, what I want to start talking about is how can you exercise 48 straight days, be very diligent about your exercise, lose 13 pounds, and get fatter. That was a case I had today. Last night, I did a little evaluation on one of our members who was working independently and was really on. They were going to be on this mission, and when he says he did not miss a day from the day we did his first microfit, I believe him. He had worked very hard. I saw him on a regular basis, being very diligent, doing his cardiovascular work 4 or 5 days a week, strength training at least 2 days a week. And so when I did his, appearance-wise, it looked like he had lost some weight. But you didn't see the body changing. It wasn't dramatically changing for all the work he was doing. And so then again, we got him and we did a body fat on him. And the weight, sure enough, was down in 48 days, 13 pounds. The body fat, however, was up 1.5%. That means that he had actually lost 13 pounds, but in the 13 pounds, he'd only lost about 10 pounds, and he lost 3 pounds of lean body tissue. So he now had changed his composition to where his metabolism had dropped, and he had not lost all the fat that he thought he had lost. This is why his body didn't change dramatically in its measurements. The second part of the equation was this, is that he lost the weight. So first the point I want to make is this goes back to all the women especially. Women especially. You go to that scale and you live and die by that scale. And I want to contrast that to a young lady I did. She worked out in a 6-week program. She got 12 workouts in 6 weeks. She worked out on a Monday and Thursday. She was in and out the door in a half hour. She was a good eater already. She was good with her eating. She was actually a vegetarian. And so she came in and she gained 1.9 pounds. But she looked like her body had changed. When we did her composition, she had lost 2.5% body fat. So in her weight loss change, she'd gained 3 pounds of lean body mass, and she had lost only about a pound of fat. So that's why she had a 2-pound weight gain. Okay, but her body had begun to change pretty dramatically, and she wasn't overweight. She was one of those kind of skinny, mushy kind of looks, skinny fat. You call them, some people call them. So she was now why did the two change? And it's interesting that they both, one lost 3 pounds of lean body tissue and one gained 3 pounds of body tissue. What was the significance of that? Well, for the gentleman that lost 3 pounds of lean body tissue, he lost 100 to 150 calories a day. So now for weight loss, he's going to have to decrease his calories another 100 calories a day in order to be successful. The female who gained 3 pounds of lean body tissue, she gained 105 to 150 calories of metabolism a day. So she could actually eat 100 more calories a day, and she was going to continue to lose fat, which was her goal. And her body is getting more defined and that type of thing. You could see the physical changes going on in the body. In fact, she had lost an inch in her belly at the belly button in the circumference measurements she did. So as a contrast, it shows us how misleading the scale can be to us. We go to the scale and we think the scale is a tell-all for us. So ladies, forget about the what the scale says. Let's look at how you feel, how your clothes fit, and let's look at that. Now, why did the gentleman that did 48 straight days of very diligent exercise, why did he not see great improvement? Well, here's the first thing that I would say. Is he overtrained? In that course of those 48 days, remember the cycle to make the body change is to stress it, your workout, okay? Then to rest it afterwards and to nourish it and to recover, okay? In his case, there was no rest, there was no recovery, and I'm a little suspect of the nutrition that he took in because he wasn't using supplements per se, and his eating was a little bit off, and he had a little bit of alcohol content in what he was doing. He was drinking a couple.
So are you saying, is this like the significance of the interval training and how critical it is that you pace yourself and that you take that break? That's why they call it interval training, right?
No, it's more significant to this, Mitch. What it's more significant to is the role of rest in programs. And again, and we see people who overtrain. And, if we go back, and this will get into our part of the show in a little bit, but if we go back and we look at Ken Cooper, when Ken Cooper wrote The Aerobic Way in 1972 and got everybody running and jogging and being very conscious of their aerobic metabolism, he put together a point score that was called the aerobic point score. And it was supposed to the more aerobic points you got, the healthier your body got. Well, what happened in the course of that study and that book and that trend that took the United States over is we now have a belief system that aerobic exercise, steady state aerobic training is the best thing for us to do. And there's also another misnomer, especially to the female population, that more is better in that. If we do 2 aerobic classes a day, that's better than doing 1 aerobic class a day. If we run 6 days a week, it's better than running only 2 days a week.
That's not just a women's issue. That's a boomer issue.
Well, really, it is, and that's why we see so many joint replacements, hip replacements, knee replacements going on. Arthur Jones used to call Ken Cooper not the father of modern exercise and aerobic, as he called it the father of sports medicine and joint replacement. So what we learned from this is that the important thing is that we should be diligent in our exercise. We should have it scheduled. It should be meaningful. It should be challenging. It should tax the body. But what should happen is you have to rest and recover afterwards. That's where we see the greatest results. Contrast the 2 people I just talked about. A female who typically is not the easiest one to lose weight or to gain lean body tissue and increase her metabolism and really worries about, we hear from the females all the time, oh, my metabolism's not what it used to be. I can't lose my weight. Why is that? Because they lost lean body tissue because of their eating habits, their diets they were on, the exercise habits. And this is something I'm sure that you could address is I heard a statistic in a research
article. Certainly the quality of the calories is very much trumps just eating calories.
Right. So, but the thing about it is I heard a statistic from a what do you call them, a comprehensive physician, and that was this. These guys, what they do is when they get their diagnosis, that's when their practice starts because they want to find out what's going on. He said that females over the age of 45 years old, maybe not diagnosed, but if they've been on more than 3 eating programs or diets in their lifetime, there's a 90% chance they have thyroid dysfunction going on from their eating habits and from their exercise habits and from their diet habits they've been on. Going back to the point of those 2, but look at that. Here's a female that typically you don't think about it being easy for her to raise her metabolism. She raised her metabolism by 105 to 150 calories a day, whereas the gentleman who outweighed her, lifted more weights, was stronger than her, actually lost lean body tissue because he didn't have the rest. He exercised 48 times in 48 days. She exercised 12 times in 46 days. So there's the contrast of being smart in planning your program, and it's almost perfect timing because Kathleen is on with us. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tazo.
How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
And I got to tell you, I'm just going to give you a heads up. The internet connection is really slow here, so I couldn't get on to our websites that you sent me so we could talk about your vendors today.
Oh.
But let's tell everybody why you're on with us on the radio show.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, we have the 13th Holistic Health and Community Fair coming up on Saturday, March 30th. From 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. It's indoors at the Sunshine Park Mall in South Daytona. Admission is free, parking is free, and we have a lot of interesting things going on, both indoors and outdoors. We will have an elliptico exercise equipment being demonstrated by Gina of Lloyd's Fitness Equipment. That'll be going on outdoors, and everything else pretty much will be indoors. We have about 100 vendors already scheduled. We do expect about 1,000 visitors, which has been the case for the past several fairs, for the past probably 5 or 6 fairs. This is our 13th.
Now let me ask you something. Is that going to be your biggest show that you've had now with the 100 vendors, or have you had ones before that were larger?
We've had the past 3 or 4 fairs have been 100 vendors. So there could be more because we're close to that number now as we speak, and we're still 4 weeks away. So right. I'm anticipating there could be more than 100 at this point.
Well, I hope we do, and it is on March 30th. Tell us a little bit about some of the vendors that will be there.
Okay, well, the one I wanted to start with is the Umami water, UMAMI, and Bill Peugeot will be representing that. And this is a water that has a lot of different properties to it to help us. It supports us in our health. He calls it a delicious taste, and what you eat and drink is who you are. This is good, pure water. It's through a special purification system, and it's a method that uses extreme heat and ozone exposure in a concentrated process, and it's repeated hundreds of times. So this process is so intense that we can only produce 1 gallon of water every 2 hours with this system. And he talks about it being an ultraviolet modular frequency, which is introduced into the distillation process, killing all organic material and pathogens. So this process provides the purest water possible.
Okay, and now it has a distillation process. I know that I've seen some of the health food stores that have where you can come in and get a gallon of this water, and then you can buy a system for your house and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, are you familiar with that, Mitch?
Yeah, Go ahead.
Mitch, are you familiar with that? No. Okay, so
not directly.
I know I had someone come by that was visiting as a physician from out of state, and I want to say that was Living Waters was the health center that was offering a seminar on it, and I didn't get to go, of course, at the time. But we're big advocates of water, so they'll be able to learn more of it. And I guess he will give a presentation when he's there at the show. Yes,
he will, and he talks about how it treats this water process treats municipal or well water. So by using 1 ounce to 1 gallon diluted ratio, you find different savings in the umami water. It destroys pathogens, approximately 30 varieties of bacteria, promotes better health, provides the body a means of defense from disease and infection, increases blood oxygenation, detoxifies and energizes the body, boosting the immune system, and balances body chemistry. So it has a lot of wonderful properties to it, and he can tell us more about it if he meets us today on this call. I know
okay.
He may not be able to do that, but that's basically it in a nutshell. So there's a lot to learn on that.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what drove you to start this holistic health fair.
Well, I started this in 2006. It was actually an internship for my master's degree in consciousness studies, and I was required to develop a community event that integrated 40 hours of preparation. So I was required to do this for my master's program, and I had one. The first one was in 2006, had 20 vendors and about 100 visitors, and I thought I was done. And then the phone kept ringing, and people kept calling and asking when I would do it again. And then the second one was about the same, 20 vendors and 100 visitors, and this was at a little community center down in Edgewater. And then the third one got really much bigger. All of a sudden, I had 500 visitors and about 50 vendors, and that was at the Piggott Center in South Daytona. And we were just way too crowded there. And so after that, as of the fourth one, I started having these presentations and events at the Sunshine Park Mall in South Daytona, and it has worked out very, very well there. The management company there is wonderful. They give us free reign of pretty much anything we'd like to do there. Vendors can sell whatever they would like to sell and just present whatever they would like to present. There's always free samples of different things and free massage. We'll have 10 massage chairs at one end of the mall.
Great.
And the other end will have
And that's being manned by one of the schools in town, right?
Yeah, Daytona State College. Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
their massage department. So so that's basically how it started, and it just has grown so much ever since we've become very well known in the area that even throughout the year, when we're not having these events, people call and they ask when the next event will be. We do a lot of advertising. Natural Awakenings has been very wonderful advertising for us each time. They are one of our sponsors. And we just noticed an ad in the AAA magazine, Going Places. They published a little ad for us, and we're already getting calls on that.
Great. Well, we hope they get more vendors. How can they get hold of you if they want to become a vendor in this show?
Well, they can go to my website, holisticfairs.com, and it's holistic with a W, WHOLISTIC, Holistic Fairs with an S at the end, plural, .com. Or they can call me at 386-248-1868.
They can also stop by the two stores. We've got the posters up, and we've got your flyers, Karen. So in both the Port Orange and the Ormond Beach store are heavily promoting the fair.
Excellent, excellent,
Well,
yes.
it's a good resource for the people who are going to love whole food, because what happens is they get to support that education that they're going to see year-round in the Love Whole Food culture, because that's the reason we came to this whole direction of really understanding it. And my interest in the whole holistic health fair, and my interest in forming a partnership with Mitch, was that I understood that this was one of my weak areas from the standpoint of really understanding the quality of food. 18 to 24 months ago, I became very, very conscious of it as I was on a round table that really had a lot of these comprehensive physicians that I was describing, that they call themselves functional physicians, foundational physicians, but really they look at it from the standpoint of they're really trying to buck the trend of the pharmaceuticals. And you're going to see an awful lot of practices and practitioners that will offer alternatives to people who maybe, and sometimes, like I always say about Dr. Fahn, who's the acupuncturist who's on the show with us once a month. People will go to Dr. Fahn, their mind will open as their pain increases. That's usually what drives them to try something as different conceptually as acupuncture is. And you'll see a lot of practitioners of that nature at your fair.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're going to see some things that are a little more common. I know we talked about one other vendor you want to talk about today was one of the other co-sponsors, who is Juanita.
Yes,
and Juanita's dance.
Yes.
And I know she can't join us because she's in Canada today.
Right.
But from an exercise standpoint, I love I love dancing. I actually I look like Fred Flintstone on the dance floor. But the thing about it is it brings, you look at those ballroom dances, those people who've been dancing their lives. They don't suffer from a lot of injuries, and the reason is because they move in such a multiple plane activity. They're changing their direction constantly. A lot of people who are runners, for instance, taking them not to bash runners, but if they don't balance the way they train, if all they ever do is run, they run forward, and they don't do their stretching, and they don't change their plane of movement, they tend to get an awful lot of hip, knee, and back problems. And some of that doesn't come from any kind of deterioration of the joint. It comes from they're always running the same direction. So they shorten their hip flexors, they over-strengthen their quadriceps, they shorten their hamstrings, and as a result, they limit their range of motion. And then they begin to get back problems first, and then they change the way they run. So now their knees and hips take a bigger beating. What dancing does is it keeps you moving. And, of course, one of the hottest trends in fitness right now is Zumba. And I know that Juanita is one of the first. It's probably in every fitness center except for Bodez that you go to, and maybe Planet Fitness, because we don't have a group exercise program. But all those people are doing it, and they're enjoying it. They're having fun doing it. That to me, that's where exercise and recreation sort of blends itself together, and you have a good time. It's not the thing I'm very cautious of for the people who are yoga practitioners and Pilates practitioners and Zumba practitioners. It is not the one answer. No source of exercise, device, philosophy is the thing. And where I come into the picture is I work beautifully with all those cultures, because the strength training brings the strength thing. And when I see a person that says to me, I go to Zumba 3 times a week, I say, great. Now let's strength train you one day a week. If a person comes to me and says, I do absolutely nothing, I sit on the couch, I say, well, maybe we need to strength train you 2 or 3 times a week based on what their history is. because they need a little more of it. But when someone's active, they're golfing one day, they're playing tennis another day, do Zumba one day, they do yoga another day, they will need me once a week, and they will continue to see the improvement. So I'm looking forward to meeting Juanita in person. I don't know if she'll remember me, but I went to her dance studio probably 3 years ago, and went to it, had a great time, and danced there. And one of my real good friends, Stillman Rice, has really gotten into the ballroom dancing and that. And he's doing a great. He enjoys it. He's sort of the complete antithesis of what you think would get involved in. But just shows you, once you get into it, the challenge takes you over, and you really like it.
Well, when we do that program, we'll change the mantra to love, laugh, and dance. What do you think of that?
Wait. What happened to lift? We can't get rid of the lift.
When we see Juanita, we'll do a special dedicated show to dancing.
Well, the lift is part of dancing. There's some people that lift people, the old disco days.
Yeah, I watched Dancing with the Stars. I saw that. There was a lot of lifting going on.
Yeah, and isn't that amazing? What good you see these stars that are sort of over the hill. They come into that competition, and all of a sudden their bodies completely change. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's the strength training that they go behind the scenes
Yeah.
that you don't see. That is what transforms some of these couch potatoes into really whirling dervishes.
Yeah. Kathleen, let's talk a little bit more about the date of the fair,
Yeah.
Where it's at. Let's reiterate that because we want all of our listeners to get there.
It's on Saturday, March 30th. It starts at 10 a.m. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's indoors at the Sunshine Park Mall in South Daytona, which is 2400 South Ridgewood Avenue, US 1, same as South Ridgewood Avenue. So it'll be the 13th Holistic Health and Community Fair. There's one more vendor I'd like to mention if I have time.
Sure.
The people from the Transcendental Meditation Program will be there, and I feel so honored to have them, and I'll explain why. Transcendental meditation has been a daily part of my routine since 1975, and I have been teaching meditation since 1995. And to have the Transcendental Meditation Program there is such an honor, as well as other meditation programs, because it teaches us how to train our thinking to direct our lives. And if we don't train our thinking to direct our lives, our outer circumstances will direct our lives for us. So when we go through the school system, we are taught what to think, but we're not taught how to think. And our meditation teaches us how to think so that we focus our thoughts and direct our thought process where we want it to be.
And that dovetails very well with what I talk about in changing mindset and looking at how the mind works. The PFC, the prefrontal cortex, the RAS, the reticular activating system, and then our experiential learning that we have. And all those work together. And when we look at people who are trying to change their lives, I work an awful lot with looking at those three components, see where are they strongest, where are they weakest, where they need to work. And even in the classification of the people I work with, I try to classify people when I sit and do my interview. Do they fall into the category of being a thoroughbred that has this really active prefrontal cortex that lets them imagine and hope and dream and see that they can accomplish things? Or are they like the chrysalis that doesn't know that it's going to go from being this caterpillar to this beautiful butterfly by the lifestyle habits they will adapt? And in that case, they have a very strong EEM that's holding them back because they start to make the changes and their life begins to change. And all of a sudden the EEM pops up and says, wait a minute, you weren't dying with what you were doing before, because you felt pretty good, or you really want to go do this. And then they fall out of their programs. And that's why it's so important to understand people's motivational types and that type of thing.
Right. And then that helps us make the decision as to what should we eat, what supplements should we be taking, because there's so much out there. It gets very confusing and overwhelming. And I would also like to mention that I will be at Love's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, March 13th, and I will be doing a talk on all of the above, which will focus on the baby boomer generation.
Great, and that's who our audience is on this show. And then actually, I promised Mitch I'm going to try and get down to Love Whole Foods in Port Orange tomorrow because they have a customer appreciation day going on.
I will be there. Yes.
Okay, and we'll talk more about
the Port Orange store. Karen, which store?
Kathleen.
I'm sorry, Kathleen. Which Which store is the is your presentation going to be at?
At the Port Orange.
Great. So that
Okay.
both events will be at Port Orange.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have to take a little bit of a break. Kathleen, I appreciate you joining
Thank
us. I
you.
know you're on your way to class. And
Yes.
the busy schedule you have, I appreciate it very much.
Yes.
Look forward to talking to you next week, as we'll be talking with you each week and featuring a few of your
Okay.
vendors each week, so people have a better idea of what they're going to see at the Holistic Health Fair and community event that's going to occur at the. And I always want to call it the Big Tree Mall. It's the Sunshine Plaza, and it's in South Daytona, and that's
Yes.
on March 30th from 10 to 4.
Yes, thank
And,
you.
and
Yes.
Mitch and I will be there, and Mike Montana's promised a big WNDB sign with our logos on it. So
great.
we're putting the heat on him for that.
Excellent,
All right.
excellent. All right, and I'll see
forward
both
to
of you
seeing-
tomorrow at Love's.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Kathleen. Then I know we've got to take a break, Dave, so we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills here. And I want to remind you before we go to break that the $13 down and $13 a month promotion is still going on at Bodez. It's a great promotion. We held it over in March because we had so many people come and take advantage of it. And here's one of the reasons. Our mission is to improve people's quality of life. And what I saw occur with the 1313 promotion, just in case you haven't heard about it, it's $13 down as opposed to $199, and it's $13 a month for your first 3 months instead of the $49 or $59 a month dues. So there's a significant savings in there to get you started into the program. And one of the things I did was I asked my staff to come up with ways to make our membership be worth that $49 or $59 a month. I said, what can we do value added to our membership? And because you have the options of the $10 clubs out there, but what you don't have is the support. And I've seen so many people come from the Planet Fitnesses and the 24-hour facilities now and join our club saying, I went there and it was a nice place and the people were nice, but it just didn't change my body. And in this course of this membership, what we've also done is add a very unique special of your first 8 one-on-ones. If you've never done one-on-one with us before, 8 one-on-ones for $199, which we use our Body by Science program, and you get an introduction to training properly, and you get a very significant game plan. So there's some huge savings with that. I invite you to come be part of the $13 down, $13 a month promotion at Bodez by Toss & Company and help us take you where you're at today and get you where you want to be tomorrow with your health.
I'm in the mood for a special treat. The River Grill sure sounds good to me.
Enjoy St. Patty's Day at the River Grill. Get lucky at the grill Sunday, March 17th. Enjoy corned beef and cabbage, Guinness beer, battered fish and chips, and Irish lamb stew. Also, green rolling rock drafts all day long for $1.50. Enjoy St. Patty's Day at the River Grill.
I'm in the mood for a special treat. The River Grill sure sounds good to me. I'm in the mood for a special treat. The River Grill sure sounds good to me.
The River Grill on the Tomoka, a great place to savor delectable Florida cuisine, fresh seafood, sizzling steaks, and abundant appetizers, and enjoy daily drink specials. The premier destination for delicious food, friendly staff, and beautiful river views. Located on US 1 at Ormond Beach, the River Grill.
The River Grill sure sounds good to me.
In printing, there's a lot to be said for today's new, flexible, and powerful technology. Lightning fast, instant duplicating, rich, true colors. But cutting-edge technology means nothing without old-world quality. Couchman Printing uses the latest technology to meet and exceed your every printing need, but it's old-world touch and personal care that make the real difference. Couchman's printing professionals take the time to understand what you need and what it takes to get there. Whether you're in need of day-to-day forms or quality full-color printing, Couchman offers the best in quality at the best price. Call today for a quote. 386-756-3052. Business cards, stationery, newsletters, business forms. Ask Couchman about complete business solutions. Stop by 1634 South Ridgewood, a block and a half south of Bevel. Doing it the old-fashioned way with today's technology, quality, and service. Since 1940, it's Couchman Printing. Call 756-3052.
Are you afraid of the number 13? Are you afraid of being unhealthy, overweight, overtired, and just plain fat and worn out? Well, 13 is now your lucky number. Tasso here from Body's Personalized Fitness in Ormond. That's right, $13 can change your health, energy, and body appearance. $13 starts your fitness membership and $13 a month for the first 3 months of your membership. We'll use our Smart Start Fitness program and our Fitness Passport to begin your program and set you on the path of better health, energy, and fitness. My Bodez team and I will coach you, assist you, and guide you to success. Call 672-6464. That's 672-6464 to set your no-obligation consultation. Remember, $13 down, $13 per month for the first 3 months to start your fitness journey. My staff and I are motivated and committed to you getting results. That's the difference you'll find from the moment you walk in our program and begin your journey. So call 672-6464 to start your fitness program with only $13 down and $13 a month for the first 3 months. And of course, all of our memberships have a 30-day money-back satisfaction guarantee.
Call 239-0033 for Fitness Friday and your host, Tasso Kyriakis. Here's Tasso.
Mitch didn't catch that.
Mitch is kind of a dry guy, I noticed.
That's right. He's going to be our straight guy on all the routines. He just gave you the straight.
I want to see him after a bottle of organic wine.
Yeah. Mitch doesn't drink. Do you drink?
I don't drink.
I don't drink either.
That's one of the major differences between Love Whole Foods and another national chain that uses a similar description.
Right.
We don't sell alcohol. We're dedicated to whole body wellness, and our organic wine, organic alcohol is still alcohol any way you slice it.
So Mitch, we were going to have a little conversation today because I told you I've been studying an awful lot about turmeric, and we got off, and you said really the starting point to get off on this conversation, really talk about the omega-3 fats and that. So let's talk a little bit about that and bring some of the research in from the standpoint. And before we start, I want to let people know that tomorrow there is going to be a Customer Appreciation Day at Love Whole Foods in Port Orange.
In Port Orange.
What's the address?
1633 Taylor Road, right across from the Westgate Shopping Plaza, just one block west of I-95, exit 256.
And I'm probably going to be there about 2:33. I'm going to finish up. We're going to close up at 2.
It's going to be all day. So
it's my workout day, so I'm going to be down there roaming around.
It's going to be 9:30 until we kick them out, and we're going to have a wonderful band playing on our veranda. There's going to be food sampling. There's going to be vendors giving really quality, third-party medical information that's not just sales hype. There's going to be raffles for some nice gift baskets. It's going to be a good time.
Can I win? Can I win something?
Yeah, I'll take care of you.
You don't have to take it. I'm just. Am I eligible?
Yes.
If Dave does something, on the air, I'm not eligible to win because
even Dave.
They would think that you influenced us.
Dave gets a half liter of water. He needs some.
Oh, a half liter.
Half a liter. Are you going to come up, Dave? You going to meet us there? You want to meet there tomorrow?
What time?
About 3:00. We'll meet there.
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
At Port Orange.
Port Orange.
Yeah, maybe.
That's up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I know.
So, hey, we get a caller coming in too. So let's start and talk a little bit about the omega fatty acids. And I was talking about telomeres earlier in the year in the show, and what they actually are. So let's refresh people's memory with what telomeres are. Do we have a caller with a question?
That's regarding water.
Okay.
And it's Jim.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm always happy to hear you talking about fresh, pure water.
Well, let me tell you what happened off the air so you can appreciate the joke.
Sure.
We were talking about Penta water and their process, and we were talking about some of the other waters that are out there sort of try and live on the standard that's been set by Penta water. And so Mitch says, that's why I bottle my own water, and he says I want it from the Smoky Mountains of the natural aquifers. He says because granite is inert and nothing comes to it.
There's no electron exchange.
No electron exchange. And Dave goes, he says, yeah, but people take that for granted. And Mitch just kept going right on, and Dave and I are about ready to fall off our seats with it. So anyway, real quickly, because we got to get people out to Port Orange tomorrow to Love Whole Foods. So we want to talk about this omega-3. So let's talk about your water issue, Jim.
Okay, what I'm keep on going back to Ormond Beach, Daytona, Holly Hill, and Port Orange with is the fact that there's fluoride gate movies out there showing that the EPA unions have strongly opposed fluoridation as a fraud. And, it seems like something that when you have whistleblowers within the own agencies that regulate something, you should be able to listen to them. And that just hasn't happened.
Right. And I think people are stuck in doing what they've done the same way for years and years and years. And Dr. Fahn from the standpoint of acupuncture, us from the standpoint of eating, like I teased Mitch last week. I said, back 20 years ago, they thought they went, well, Mitch, what commune did you come from? Organic vegetables. You think you're going to make it with this? But 24 years later, and they do that to me. What fitness guy do you hear talking there? Yeah, we only need to exercise you once or twice a week, not 4 or 6 days a week, once to twice a week, and we get benefit from that. And a lot of times people don't believe you because they go, oh, come on, you're just trying to sell me something, type of thing. But this is the lifestyle. The one thing about Mitch is he lives the life. He walks the walk. He talks the talk. Now, he's going to get me eating more natural, and I'm going to get him exercising 1 or 2 days a week. So that's going to be our trade-off too. So, but Jim, I appreciate your input all the time. I know we'll have conversation about vitamin D as we go through this show together now, and I know you'll be in on that conversation. But today the topic is about omega-3s, and we talk a little bit about the telomeres.
And the telomeres were quite. Thank you, John. The telomeres are a fundamental construct of how every cell is put together. One of the greatest discoveries post-World War II was RNA, DNA. Those are the double helicals that make up the identification of each individual cell. Telomeres are the shoelaces that hold the RNA, DNA together. And the aging process is dictated by making those telomeres stay tied together as long as possible, only because when they disintegrate, the cell self-destructs. We call that apoptosis. And what we want is a controlled, slow expression of that demise of the cells so that they can regenerate themselves. The reason we eat 23, the reason our foods have 23 vitamins, 72 rare earth elements, and 5 to 7 omega-3 fatty acids is that they nourish that RNA, DNA to make perfect expression of health and well-being. The reverse of that is that when we allow agents to be introduced into the body, let's take, for example, John's passion, which is fluoride, that fluoride is antagonistic to the health of that telomere integrity and accelerates the process of the demise. In the case of fluoride, it causes an early demise of thyroid tissue. And the end result is what the Harvard Medical School and the School of Public Health have identified as a group of compounds called thyroid antagonists or goitrogens. And there isn't a listener out there that doesn't understand what's going on with the blimping of America. And it has, to a great extent, the dysfunction of the thyroid. And I know that, John, that's a passion of John's, and we share that.
That would be Jim.
I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry. The first caller, I didn't catch his name.
I'm really glad because I thought you were calling me John.
But tell him if you're a boomer and you're listening, the goal of being able to live long enough to spend your children's inheritance is to simply take care of those telomeres. And one of the major ways of doing that is good old cod liver oil. And for anyone whose mother is as old as mine, for example, my parents got through the last depression by taking cod liver oil. It was a part of virtually every regimen in every American household, primarily because it was premium and it was cheap.
Now, omega-3s have been associated, and one closing statement, so people can visualize telomeres. The way I've seen it described is it's like the shoelace, and on the shoelace is that part that the cap is on where it's the plastics on there, and they can actually measure how the aging process is proceeding with people, because as that little plastic part of the shoelace begins to get deteriorated, that's the telomere that's deteriorating, and you're getting closer to aging faster. And now we've heard about omega-3s for all these years in relation to heart disease. And this article you have from the Journal of American Medical Association talks about marine omega-3 fatty acid levels with helping telomeres and also with curing heart disease.
Right. It was phenomenal. It has nothing to do with cholesterol. It doesn't have anything to do with statins. This was a study, and the study's only 2 years old. It was in the January 20th issue of JAMA, and they found a direct correlate between preserving those telomeres, those shoelaces, especially as it related to the heart muscle, and its end result, which was that it virtually eliminated coronary heart disease, both in the cardiovascular side on hypertension, but more important on things like inflammation of the heart muscle, and let's look at a critical element, which was the deterioration of valves. And again, any listener out there that has mitral valve prolapse should really pay attention and come in and get a copy of this study. Cheap. And when you look at the fact that the omega-3s weren't just preventing the coronary heart disease, it was slowing down aging across the board. Translate that to, let's say, skin deterioration, joints, collagen production in the disc between the vertebrae, connective tissue in the knees, the hips. But most importantly, across the board, it was helping on preventing degenerative inflammatory disease. To me, it doesn't get any better. I encourage, this was a study that was done by 4 PhDs and 3 MDs, and it was co-sponsored by the Harvard Medical School.
And, I had an interesting conversation the other day, and Mitch, this lady was in my studio that was she was a physician. And she was Indian in her descent and her nationality, so she had a little bit of a unique approach to prevention. She's one of these physicians that really seems to be trying to buck the trend of the pharmaceuticals hijacking doctors' offices. And I asked her, I said, well, and this is the first time I've ever got this response from a physician since I've been really studying over the last 3 years the inflammation process. I said, tell me something. I said, how do you feel about inflammation? She said to me, inflammation is the root cause of every disease we now battle in modern medicine.
Right on, brother.
And I said, hallelujah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It goes right to the heart of what we've been doing at Love Whole Foods for 2.5 decades. And again, I invite the listeners. We have a one-pager. It's the ultimate cliff note on it's called Breaking the Cycle of Inflammation, and it's all outlined on one page how you can be in control of your health destiny by just simply breaking that cycle, and it's a no-brainer. It's simple.
And so they can pick that up. You'll have copies of these articles, like the one we're talking about here.
The JAMA article that we just mentioned on telomeric aging and coronary heart disease, and also the one that's called Breaking the Cycle of Inflammation, was written by a Dr. Guy Devin, and with a PhD, and I'll be happy to provide it. Guy gave a wonderful talk, as we have been doing consistently. Community health awareness seminars have been a part of Love Whole Foods again since day one, and that particular one by Dr. Guy Devin was off the chart, and it was so good. I printed the one pager, and I've been using it now continuously. 2-3 years.
So they'll be able to get copies of these two articles tomorrow at the Customer Appreciation.
I'll make sure that we have them there.
So another reason for people to come out, besides everything that's going on, from 9:30 in the morning at Love Whole Food in Port Orange, and they can come there. Now, as far as omega-3, the omega-3s are also, as you like to call it, the WD-40 for the body as well.
Absolutely.
And I know there he is. There's Dave right on time.
Dave puts a bottle of WD-40 in front of us. Yeah, it's God's WD-40. It's a metaphor. It's sort of like the Love Boat as Spaceship Earth.
Right. And so you have one of the first consciousness I had of omega-3s was oh my goodness, my brain just went. Oh, mercy.
You're having it.
I'm having it.
You're having one of those moments,
I'm having
are
one
you?
of those moments. I am.
Right. I can't remember Jim's name.
That's
or,
right. The
or
omega-3s.
Kathleen's.
The guy from Vancouver that makes his own. Oh my goodness! Comes in a bottle. You guys sell it, brown bottle. Oh my goodness. Huh? You know what? I've gone brain dead.
Well, let's go back to that Indian doctor that you were just talking about. The Indians have a secret ingredient in their food that they consume with every meal, at minimum 3 times a day, and actually it's quite it's more pervasive than even that. What's interesting about that spice? What's that spice? Come on,
turmeric. That's right.
And what's the significance of it? India is a third world industrial country. They have the highest ambient air pollution, second only to China. And yet their incidence of Alzheimer's and degenerative disease is a fraction of what we find here in the United States. And one of the things that's getting an incredible amount of research is this magic spice, the dominant spice that you notice when you're doing Thai cuisine or Indian cuisine, and the turmeric seems to hold the lock on doing a number of issues that we've already talked about. Number one, the Indians have a significant incidence of not having Alzheimer's disease. And I wrote an article. It was in my article. It was like, beat Alzheimer's, remember your EFAs, and eat Thai. I was trying to link the research done both on omega-3s and that anti-inflammatory spice called turmeric. The Latin term is curcumin. And what again, how do we know that this is worth paying attention to? MD Anderson and the Moffitt Center are both giving pharmaceutical grade. Now, this is not the turmeric that's used in general in cooking, although at Love Whole Foods we sell an organic turmeric, which is very popular with the Indian community here in the Tri-Town area. But the one that the Moffitt and MD Anderson are using is a pharmaceutical grade, and they're two dominant. One's been developed by Natural Factors by Dr. Michael Murray, who's a personal friend of mine, and the second one was developed by Terry Limrod, the original founder of enzymatic therapy. Both of those products are being given to cancer patients, not only to calm down the nausea that comes with conventional treatment of cancer, but also as an effective treatment for pain. It is one of the most powerful analgesics ever studied, and its side effects are it beats Alzheimer's, it balances blood sugar, and it helps control not only autoimmune diseases, but specifically cardiovascular hypertension. Tasso, it simply doesn't get any better than that.
Right. And now, doesn't turmeric occur in it's the flavoring in mustard, isn't it? And gives its yellow color.
It's in the same family as mustard, but mustard is a seed, and turmeric is a root vegetable. It looks very similar to what ginseng looks like. What ginger is, it looks much more like ginger. Tomorrow when folks come, I've got some turmeric plants on display, and you just snap it and you see this beautiful bright orange, carrot orange, right in the root, right when you snap it. And you can rub your finger on it and you can smell that. And it does have a similar component like mustard, but it is it has a similar activity, but it comes from a different plant species.
Okay. So tomorrow from 9:30 until
until we turn the lights out, it'll be at least until 6 o'clock.
Customer appreciation at Love Whole Food in Port Orange. Hope you all will be there. I want to remind people of the $13 down and $13 a month program that we are running at Bodez Personalized Fitness. Get you started on our body coach program, which at the end of that time you'll pick. Do you want a $59 a month membership? Or you want a $49 a month membership? It's about the commitment you'll make. It's a big savings getting started. It's about $300 savings. Also, we'll offer you a special for one-on-one, $199 for 8 one-on-one sessions in conjunction with that membership that will ensure the first 11 out of 12 workouts that you do, you're going to have an appointment with someone waiting on you to take you through your workout. It gives you commitment. It gives you a game plan. It gives you starting numbers. One of the greatest things I think that we do at Bodez is we get objective numbers. You know, a lot of the things that we talk about on the show are about subjective feelings, how you feel, how your energy level is. But we have done the best job we can of getting into measurable things so you can measure. Listen, maybe today you didn't sleep well, so you don't have a great day. But you come in, we do your weight, and the weight hasn't changed, but we do your body composition. Your body composition has changed. Those are the kind of things we want to do. We want to give you feedback from that standpoint. This is why took the opportunity, extended this offer for the $13 down, $13 a month. It will expire on the 30th of March, and it will not be repeated. What a great day to join. 3/1/13. That's 3 months, one-time initiation fee, $13 a month. What a great day to make the change in your life to join Bodez Personalized Fitness. We invite you to come up. One thing I wanted to talk very briefly about for the last 2 minutes of the show are this. And we will talk over the course of the next months about a lot of different articles about research and organic foods and things of that nature. When Mitch and I talk, we don't talk from Ladies' Home Journal about what goes on. We go to peer-reviewed research that looks and says, is this information credible? Has it been reviewed by other experts, not just someone that is writing an article for beneficial gain? Those of you that read fitness magazines, Flex, Fitness, Men's Fitness, Women's Fitness, whatever they are, they're owned by one group of people. It's a huge group that is owned by the same people that by Joe Weider. Joe Weider's predominant drive of his business is to sell supplements to you. Whether those supplements are high quality and low quality, it's about selling advertising. He was on the Larry King show a couple years ago, and they said, how can you keep your magazines in the top 50 magazines for as long as you have the one magazine, Muscle Development or Muscle and Fitness, had been in the top 5 circulations for more than 25 straight years. And he says, it's easy. We put a really good-looking girl with a really ripped guy, and we convey the message that if you want to look good, you're gonna have big muscles. You're gonna get all the girls for the guys.
Flatter abs, better sex.
There you go.
That's what they all say.
That's what they push. So that aspect of it, I want you to understand that when we talk about research, we're not talking about people's opinions. We're talking about peer-reviewed research that has been time-tested and has gone through the process of being scrutinized so that these are research articles that bring valid, great data to us. Phone number for Bodez by Tasso Company, 672-6464. Mitch, the phone number at Love Whole Foods in Port Orange.
It's 386-767-6543 in Tasso. Please, folks, come and join Tasso. Pick up his application.
All right. Have a great day. God bless. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at Love Whole Foods or at Bodez Personalized Fitness today or tomorrow.
WNDV Daytona Beach, first in local news. Fox News updates at the top of every hour. Online at newsdaytonabeach.com.